Hello everybody and welcome back to One Hub Racing. Colin and I are here for the P3 tier, back to normal in the P3 commentary box. Apologies for missing the last couple weeks, but back with my bro Colin. How are you doing tonight?
Hi Nick, how all? Yeah, really excited for this one. This is going to be quite difficult for the drivers. Even though it's dry, Nick, these tyres, they don't last long.
Yes, it's a temple of speed for a reason. Lots of long straights, some chicanes where you want to try and carry as much speed through them as possible. And then, of course, you've got Parabolica, the last corner on the track, which you absolutely throw the car into and just hope it sticks. Apologies for lateness in starting the stream. We're underway, though, after some technical issues. And thanks to Quinn for filling in the last couple of weeks for us.
Yeah, thanks for that, Quinn. You did a tremendous job. And hopefully he'll do a tremendous job this evening, because he has now gone from commentating in P3 to racing in P3. There you can see, currently in 6th place in the Red Bull with a 19.582. Burjack's Nick currently at the top with a 19 flat.
Yeah, interestingly, Jacob has set his time on the medium compounder tyres. 15 drivers here tonight. Do we think that traffic's going to be a bit of an issue, particularly towards the end of the session? Do the drivers want the slipstream, the tow? It's a big talking point ahead of today's race.
It is, and we've got to be a little bit careful with it, because you'll get a bit of slipstream, but then also, if you don't time it right, you're going to get a bit of dirty air. So you need to be able to adapt your driving a little bit to compensate for that dirty air. So I'm not sure we're going to see that many drivers attempt it, to be honest.
We've also got Jason Blue in for his first race so far this season. And we got also Kene, who's joined currently in 6th place in the McLaren. And Matthias has been disqualified from the session. Not sure what happened there. And Max in the Haas is also new for this week.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that Matthias got disqualified either. Just spotted it as soon as you said it. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, that is unusual. I don't know how he got that. I don't know whether anyone in the chat saw the graphic pop up explaining why. But that's certainly not going to help him at all, especially around this track, Nick. It's not easy to overtake. We saw that in the real race earlier on, and it transfers into the game. Because everyone's running such low wings, it's quite difficult to overtake.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, corner cut penalties are going to be interesting here as well. You've got to make sure you keep those down. Ascari, you know, being one of the main culprits. I particularly find it difficult being tucked in behind the car in front when you want to sling it into the left-hand side, not turning in slightly too early and getting that cut. But plenty to happen here. 27 laps tonight. We got some car wear penalties to talk about as well. Jack Craig currently done 5 laps on those hard compound tyres, so perhaps he hasn't been able to do much practice this week, and therefore he's testing them out. You can see just moving over for one of the Alpines coming through, that's Jason Blue. So he'll be looking to set a competitive lap time. Cole, what are we thinking as Burjack is the first man into the 18s? We expect high 18s to be pole, mid 18s possibly?
Yes, I think that 18.7 is going to be very, very difficult to beat. That is an astonishing lap time from Burjack. Unfortunately, he did miss last week, but you know, he's shown great pace. He did actually win the pre-season race around Hungary just before the start of the season. Hasn't translated into the main season yet, any victories, but he is certainly still up there.
Yeah, 6 minutes to go in the session. The track does ramp up. Cole, let's talk about the weather. It's going to be dry, a bit of cloud in the race, but dry weather all round. On the inside of the steward's room, we talk about this pit entry being a fast one. Will drivers be caught out? There's plenty to play for here tonight.
Without a shadow of a doubt. But the drivers have got to be aware of safety car timings as well. This track does tend to get safety cars. You know, it's not out of the realms of possibility of losing it and going into a wall anywhere. So they're going to have to be thinking on their feet a bit.
Yes, definitely. I don't know if you can send Gaza an invite, Cole. Apparently he's having some issues. Oh, he's back in the session now, so that's good. Jack Craig's still on those hard tyres. Jason Blue coming through the Scary. You absolutely sling it in there. Got to be careful in the race when the tyre temps are up high. It's easy to lose the car. And then we head down one of the many straights here in the Temple of Speed. Second track on the calendar for Italy on this season as he goes deep, and that possibly will be an invalidation for Jason Blue. Jacob's gone on to the soft compound tyres. Let's see what the Ferrari man can do.
Yeah, let's see what he can manage as he starts his flying lap. Pretty good into turns 1 and 2, quite tricky to get the power down on the exit. Easy flat now through this right-hander as we head now into the very tricky chicane. Where's he brake? Just by the 100-meter boards. Takes a little bit of curve, takes quite a lot of curve, but manages to control the car very well. He's going to get a little bit of dirty air now from the Williams in front. I think it's a Williams, but he will get a bit of a toe down his back straight, Nick.
Yeah, definitely. The toe is great along the straights into those Lesmos, Ascari, Parabolica. It does lose you a bit of time, but I wonder if the car in front is on a quick lap. I don't know if you're able to check, Cole, or if they are. Oh, and Jacob almost loses it, hugging the curb, goes a little bit wide there on the exit of Ascari. I don't think he invalidated the track hasn't gone red on the right-hand side there, but this has definitely cost him a bit of time being close. Oh, and he almost loses it, Cole.
Oh, what a huge mistake. Now, he's got 3.5 minutes. He should just, and I mean just, have enough time to come in the pit lane, put some fresh softs on, and go back out again. But it's going to be very, very tight for him now.
So what strategy do we think Jack Craig is doing here in the Aston Martin? He's just completed 7 laps on the hard compounded tyres, so almost doing like a half stint distance on what you'd expect on that compound when we do get into the race later on. Otherwise, you're seeing 4 drivers head out on their out lap now, funnily enough, 7th to 10th. Everyone else in the pits waiting for as long as possible. There's going to be some shuffling for position in these last couple minutes. What did you make, Cole, of that? That was actually your dad who was on an in lap there in front of Jacob. Do you think he should have moved out the way, or do you think it was fair game?
I think he was further enough ahead not to, and he wasn't going slow, you know. It looked to me, to be honest, that driver was also on a hot lap. So I think that's just fair game there. But I think the little bit of dirty air that Jacob received certainly didn't help him. And this is the problem with, especially with this circuit with the low wings that we're running. Dirty air is not much fun. It's quite tricky.
Yeah, well, of course, we do a lobby restart, so drivers will be able to run a qualifying specific setup, and you can see all the drivers now popping up without laps next to their names. So they can run a qualifying setup and look at the pit lane exit, how busy it is already. On board with Zesty in the RB, using a little bit of that sausage curve, doesn't seem to unsettle the car too much. And you can see a car in front is on his out lap, just come out the pits. So is he going to move out the way? I think he is going to do so, yes. So Zesty pretty much matches his best Sector 1 time. Looked pretty clean through that chicane. Right on board with him. We've got Jamie also on a lap just in front, who's 2.5 tenths up on his best so far.
Yeah, that would be a big improvement for Jamie if he could
Half
continue
a
that pace.
Half a second it's showing on my screen now.
Let's have a look at... yeah, up for half a second as he comes in to the Parabolica. How's his time looking now? Let's see. Throws it in. A little bit wide on the apex, but still carries good speed on the exit. Where is this going to put him? Currently 9th. Jamie does a 19.4, put him up into 7th place. Jamie will be delighted with that lap.
Let's see what Zesty can do. He bails into the pits, obviously not improving. We got everyone else either on a lap or on an out lap. Jason Blue at the back of the field is remaining in the pits. Craig's on an out lap. I think he'll be one of the last drivers to cross the line. Jacobs just started his lap. You can see a driver in front there. Looks like they just took to the chicane. Not sure who that was.
No, I wasn't sure who that was, but let's have a look at Jacob's first split. He's up, but just by a tenth. So that's not going to be enough for him at the minute, as he has a slide on the exit as well. So Jacob not having much fun up there. He's struggling on these tyres.
Hockey Knight just starts his lap. The other Ferrari on a hot lap, but it was showing 4.5 seconds slower, so not sure what that was about. JR Mason just behind his teammate, but he's pulling off under the tunnel, touches the wall there to get out of the way. Gaza comes into the pits. Jacob's made a mistake, so he won't be improving, Colin.
That's going to be quite a poor qualifying from Jacob. This is the first time this season that he has not started this race from pole position. So after having done a 19.2 on mediums, he's only slightly improved on the softs. So he is not going to be very happy at all.
Quinn's got some nice slip coming through Ascari now. Is this going to affect him with the dirty air? Is he going to be able to improve from second place? Currently Burjak's the only driver into the 18s at the moment. He's also on a lap. So does he need to improve further? Quinn's definitely getting a bit of slip from the car in front. Misses the apex slightly. Is he going to be able to improve? I'm not sure as he crosses the line. It's an 18.9, so he does improve, but it's not enough. And other than Hockey Knight, who crosses the line, doesn't improve. That is your pole position from Burjax, who goes even quicker. Statement made from the Mercedes driver.
That is a tremendous lap from Burjax. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, what a statement lap that is. Try catching me now. 4/10 quicker. That's going to be... if he can keep that pace up in the race, he's got a real good chance of taking his maiden one-hub race. Like I said, he did get one in the pre-season race, but that does not count to our statistics. So I think he's going to be desperate to get his first win. But what a qualifying session. You know, apart from the pole man, to be fair, everything is so close.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes there on their final runs where drivers are absolutely pushing to the limits. I think Jacob invalidated on the second Lesmo, so you can see his quickest time was on the medium compound of tyres. Not too much difference between the two compounds, to be fair, Colt, but I'll let you run through the order.
And Burjax there, you can see, taking pole position. Then we have Quinn in second, Kinney, then Jacob, Gazzaman, Mason, Jamie, Fury Formula, Shiesty in ninth, Hockey Knight leads out the top 10. Then it's Jack, Max, Guest, Jason, and unfortunately Matthias in 15th after getting disqualified from the session.
Kinney on his debut in third position. Good place to start here in Monza. But of course there are some drivers taking some engine penalties. So all the drivers should ready up. And then we will hopefully get them all retired from this race. We'll be back in lobby to apply the penalties, which I'm going to ask you about in a second, Cole. And then we will get the actual 50% race underway. So drivers have to take a gearbox. They have to take an engine before at some point before they die. Well, they run out of laps, so at some point during the season. And Cole, some drivers have decided that Monza is the place they want to do it.
Yeah, I'm actually quite shocked by that, to be honest, because it's not a circuit that's particularly easy to overtake. So I was expecting a lot more at tracks like Belgium and Baku, but drivers can seem to be wanting to take it here.
Yeah, so do we have any stewarding penalties for this round as well, Cole? Or is it just the car wear penalties that we're expecting?
Betsy did get a 3-place grid penalty for retiring on track, but he is not here this evening, so that will carry over until that driver's next race. So other than that, that is it.
Alrighty, so hopefully these drivers will retire. Of course, they have to do so before they cross the Sector 1 split line, so it's just Fury Formula to do so now. And then we will go back into the lobby, apply the penalties, and then get the race underway. So what penalties do we have in the P3 tier this week? Car wear penalties.
So we have actually got quite a lot throughout the whole of the league through tiers P1 to P3. In P3 tonight, we've got Jack taking his engine along with Gazzaman. Now that means that Jack has actually then taken both his engine and his gearbox already, having taken his gearbox penalty in Zandvoort last week. And also Jason Blue will be taking a 3-place grid penalty. A 5-place grid penalty for his gearbox.
Yeah, so Jason Blue is making his debut here, as well as a few other drivers, and deciding that he wants to take a new car apart on his debut. So getting one of them out of the way. Remember, they won't last the season, so at some point, drivers will have to take a new gearbox and a new engine. We mentioned that it's going to be a bit cloudy in the race. You can see that in the background there. So we will make sure that gets all set up. Cole, let's talk about the championship. I've got the standings up here, and Jacob leads the way. Matthias, though, having a brilliant season to start season 27.
Yeah, what a start to his season, and it's definitely his best start to a season, certainly that I can remember. Absolutely perfect. 2 seconds in a row, yet to get a win yet, but you feel as though it's just around the corner. Unfortunately, he is going to be starting near the back. I think he will gain 1 or 2 places through grid penalties. Yeah, unfortunately, his evening hasn't got off to the greatest of starts. But 6th, 2nd, and 2nd, if he can keep that consistency up, Nick, he could be going home with a trophy at the end of the year.
Yeah, and everyone wants to get themselves a One Hub Racing trophy. Of course, trophies handed out for the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the Drivers' Championship and the 1st Constructor. So yeah, Matthias often criticised sometimes for his driving, but having a really consistent start to the season. Gerald Mason getting the win last week, which you were able to commentate on. Cole, Jacob finishing on the podium again, but those three look to be storming away. Jamie's up there as well on 35 points, and over in the Constructors' Championship, we can see that Williams lead the way on 76 ahead of Ferrari on 66. Sauber on 48. Aston Martin on 33.
Yeah, so still all to play for. Very, very close. Yeah, going back to Matthias, he did make a mistake last weekend where he went to go down the inside, I believe it was of Jacob. Got the move done on Jacob, but unfortunately outbraked himself a bit and tagged the back of, or hit the side of Jamie up ahead. But Matthias did the sportsman, gentleman thing to do and actually let Jamie back through, which was great to see.
Yeah, just in the P3 chat, Gaza reporting that he was blocked by Burjax, who was on an outlap. Burjax apologising in the chat, and Gaza saying, "No worries, mate." So these things sometimes happen, difficult circumstances. But we have seen drivers penalised in the past for holding up a driver or not getting out of the way of a driver who is on a quick lap whilst they're on an outlap.
Yeah, one of the more difficult tracks, I think, actually, because the track is so short, which means it's condensed. Cars are, feel as though they're everywhere. Feel like you've got 40 cars, not 20. So it is easy to get in someone's way. Unfortunately, that does seem to be the case with Gaza and Burjax. But like Gazaman says, no stress. So good sportsmanship from the P3 guys, as there always is, to be fair.
Yes, definitely. So Burjack's on pole position. We'll wait for the tier coordinator, Jamie, to just sort out the order with any grid penalties which we've mentioned earlier. And of course, don't forget it is a mandatory 2 race stop, so all drivers have to complete a pit stop twice. Cole, we don't expect to see the soft tyres be used here unless there is some sort of late safety car.
Yes, and it would have to be a very late safety car as well. They appear to be about as useful as an Astra on a motorbike in the race, to be honest. But don't forget, drivers still are going to be doing 2 pit stops. So I think we're going to see a multiple of medium hard, medium type of thing, and then medium and 2 hards tonight, Nick. I think it's going to be a bit of a mix.
Yeah, interestingly, on this game, one thing that we've really started to see come into play the last few races is tyre temps. You know, really important to get the tyre temps within, I'd say it's more driver dependent, working window. And if drivers can do that, then they'll really see the performance gains. But it's nice to see that, you know, tyre temps are a factor. It's more been find kind of the right pressures, and then everyone runs that. Whereas I believe that, you know, on this game, it's different drivers are tending to run different pressures depending on sort of temps they can handle.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, we interviewed Dad in the pre-race show, and he was saying the same thing. And I agree with him when he said that this game appears to be more realistic than previous games regarding tyre pressures. They have more of an effect. And we know in real Formula One that tyre pressures have a huge effect on their performance and their tyre life. And this is translated into the game, which I think is good. It gives the game, you know, a bit of a new mechanic. You have to be a little bit more careful on your tyres. You can't just gun it every lap. You know, you've got to be a little bit cautious, think on the fly, you know. You can change your diff, that will help your rear tyre wear a little bit. So it's a bit more to think about for the drivers, Nick.
Yeah, no formation laps, so the drivers are going to be having a drink, loading their setups, selecting their strategy, picking their fuel. Lots to do before the lights go out here in Monza, but relatively a quick race. But the pit lane is quite a long one. Obviously, Cole, it's not just, I heard the commentators saying in real life today, it's not just that they're going 200 miles an hour down the main straight whilst the drivers in the pit lane are trundling along at 50. It's also because the last corner is quite high speed, so there's quite a bit of time loss coming into the pits. So keeping your wings intact, not getting damage early on is going to be crucial. But I think it's going to be really interesting. Who's going to do 2 mediums and who's going to do 2 hards in this race?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And how many drivers were planning on doing 2 hards and maybe forgot to select the harder tyre strategy, and they're going to be forced into doing 2 mediums when they're not that keen on doing it. You know, little things like that, little errors. We saw last week Mason set up his tyre strategy, forgot to press X to confirm it, and it ended up him starting on hards, which he didn't really want to do. So Mason had to adapt then on the fly, which he did manage to do, and he managed to do very well. But it's extra pressure and extra thought processes that the drivers don't really want, Nick.
Yeah, it worked out quite well for Mason last week, but ultimately, yeah, you've practiced all week or as much as you've been able to, and you do kind of, by now you should kind of know what strategy you want to run. And yeah, it's a bit tricky to get set up here because you have to add an extra stop and things like that in order to then delete or change tires on what you start on. But yeah, we'll see how these drivers get on. So we haven't actually run. Apologies, we didn't actually run down the grid order in the session, but there's no formation lap, so we're just waiting, and the tier coordinator has given the go ahead. Quinn happy, first time he's got into the 18s all week. First mistake Jacobs made, possibly all season, starting now 4th position rather than his favourite position of pole. So he's going to have to make his way through the field if he wants to continue his good start to his one hub career.
Yes, he has some overtaking to do. He did make a small mistake last week. And here the red lights are, Nick.
Yeah.
5 red lights are now out, and we are racing in Monza as they head into turn 1.
Yeah, well, good start there from the front two. Look how even they are. The Mercedes versus the McLaren into turn 1. The McLaren on the inside breaks a little bit early. The Ferrari going around the outside. There was a car there. I think it was Damien going into, causing mayhem. Wing damage. The car is coming to almost a complete stop. So I think that was Damien in the Aston Martin that caused that yellow flags. Is that a safety car? I believe that's a VSC, Cole.
Yeah, so we got our first VSC. That did not take long. Yeah, it was one of the Aston Martins. I'm not sure which one it was. It might have been... Let me have a look. I think it might have been Guest. I think it was Guest. So there was a bit of chaos, and we've seen it in real life. He had to take... He lost control, cut across, and unfortunately hit the side of Jamie. So Jamie must have severe side pod damage, and of course he's got a 10-second time penalty, which he's not going to be able to get the stewards to take off, Nick. He's going to have to serve it.
Yeah, it happened to me in practice. He'll be absolutely fuming about that. You know, in the pre-race stewards report, you know, drivers were warned, and I think, you know, if he's found at fault for that contact with Jamie, you know, the stewards would take a dim view, because as we're back underway, they would see that Jamie's lost more time than just damage. And look at that, Burjack didn't nail that start. He had about a second, and the McLaren is all over the back of him.
Yeah, look at the McLaren now, right on him. Burjack, you can see, covering the inside. Kinney, is he going to have a look? He thinks about it. He's not quite close enough, but Burjack's runs right on his cold, hard tyres. And Jacob now up into third, and he's got a run on them.
Yeah, so we're seeing that the hard tyres are difficult to heat up. We see a couple of drivers in the pits. Here comes the Ferrari versus the McLaren versus the Mercedes, Cole. The Ferrari driver trying to go around the inside. The Mercedes gives him room, trying to do the switchback. Is the Ferrari man, gets the inside line. And look at the drive, those mediums. The McLaren touches, makes contact, and they all go off. The Mercedes went off as well without contact, I think.
That was huge. That's ruined Jacob. I mean, he had such a good start. He was up into first. Burjack and Jacob came together, and just chaos has kind of happened. I'm just trying to look at damage. Sorry, I was stuttering, and I was just trying to look at damage of the drivers. But what a chaotic start to this race, Nick.
Yeah, absolute. That VSC, and there's someone off in the background there in the wall. Who's that? That's Max, I think. Is that Max? Yeah, Max recovering. Has he got damage? I think he might have some damage. So, Hockey Night leads us away with JR Mason and his teammate Jamie behind. So the two Williams driver. Here comes JR Mason. Got the run, got the DRS. Keeps it on the racing line, and Hockey Night doesn't fight that too hard. Jason into lead, but has to cut the chicane, Cole. So will he have to give that position back? Did he keep that position by cutting the chicane, or was the job already done? Difficult one there.
That's a difficult call, that one. That's a very, very difficult call. To be honest, I think if I was Mason, I would just give the place back just to be on the safe side. But was the manoeuvre already done while he... don't know, that's a difficult one. Mason carrying on, so he feels as though he hasn't done anything wrong at this stage. But he is starting... I've noticed a lot of drivers have started on the hard compound tyres, Nick.
Yeah, interestingly, the top three are on the hard compound. Look at these two side by side. Whoa! Oh my goodness! That was a huge collision.
That's one of the biggest crashes I've ever seen on any F1 game. That is huge. So who was that? Kinney, and we got a virtual safety car. Sorry. Who
should be a full one for sure. That should be. Someone got a penalty there. I don't know what that was for. So. Drive-through for Fury. So Fury Filmula was leading this race early on. Got a drive-through now for speeding behind the VSC. So I think it was himself and Kinney who were involved in that. Kinney looks like he's got wing damage. Not happy at all. I've also noticed that Jacob seems to be sliding the rear of that Ferrari out a lot of these corners. So is he struggling with traction? Has he made a mistake here? In terms of setup, we're also seeing Jack Craig into the pits. So lap 4 of 27, we're back on the way. We're out of safety car conditions, and it's chaos at the moment as Gerald Mason misses the apex there on the inside. Hockey Night in second place at the moment within DRS.
Yeah, I mean, we've had more action in the first 4 laps of this race than we had throughout the entirety of the main Grand Prix. It's been action-packed every lap. Just looking at the track, the chat, sorry. Quinn, so Jess is actually engineering Quinn this evening. Jess is in the chat. Quinn went into the pits to change his front wing, but the game didn't change it. So this is where, unfortunately, sometimes you have to override the option and select yes, and then unfortunately Quinn gets a speeding penalty in the pit lane. So after such a tremendous qualifying. He's had a nightmare start to this race.
Gazza looks to attack Matthias here for 6th and 7th place. The DRS detection is just there, so Matthias is running none. It doesn't even look like he's going to fight this position. Gazza moves to the inside, and this will be a nice, easy pass. Jamie still with that 10-second to serve. Gazza pulls in, and you can see Jacob there behind 1.8 seconds. Hockey Night seems to be holding on with JR Mason here. Is that due to pace? Is that due to DRS? Really tricky to see, but yeah, Quinn's race bad to worse. Damien is out of this race, and if we have a look at who stopped, we can see that Quinn's done 2, Jack's done 1, Kinney has done 1 as well. So that incident between the McLaren and the Ferrari, I'm sure will end up in the steward's office.
Yes, Matthias there with next to no front wing on his car, so he's going to have to box at the end of this lap. Lukey in the chat, did Jamie and Quinn speed? So just to keep you up to date, as you can see, we got 2 lots of penalties there. Quinn for speeding in the pit lane. Jamie got 10 seconds for cutting turn 1, but he really didn't get a lot of option. He was hit through the chicane, to be honest, so a hard done by there, and unfortunately he will have to serve that in the pit lane. But Hockey Night right on the back of Mason, Nick.
Yeah, and I was just on board. Gazza seems to have lost the position to Jacob, so gone from attacking to now defending. And JR Mason leads the way, lap 6 out of 27. And you can see that Hockey Night seems to be more under attack from Burjax than he is able to attack JR Mason at the moment. But these three seems to be pulling away from Jamie, who's obviously got that penalty. So is Jamie going to play the supporting role here for the rest of the evening? And we can see that Gazza going down the inside of Jacob, so I think Jacob's got damage. He's really struggled with the rear of that car anytime I've been on board with him, you know, and he doesn't seem to be, you know, look, he's just losing time to Gazza, even down, you know, what is effectively a straight. He doesn't seem to be running, no, so maybe he hasn't loaded his setup. I don't know what's going on. Burjack's all over the back of Hockey Night, though. Will he try on his way into this Ascari? And look at that, Hockey Night going slightly wide, and almost, I think he has lost DRS on this occasion.
Yeah, top 3 really are pulling away quite nicely. Yeah, going back to Jacob, I think you could be right, Nick, he might have forgot to load his setup, or from that incident in lap 1, did he get any side pod and floor damage? Yeah, you look at the car, it is all over the shop. I mean, it looks as though it's wet out there if you're on board, Jacob. I'm just wondering, has he picked up some floor and side pod damage, and is that why he's struggling? We'll obviously have to wait until after the race, but he is not able to stick really with Gazza at this stage.
Here comes Burjack, so the pole man moves to the outside. That was a late move, but just in time, breaks on the racing line, and there was contact. There was contact between the two there. So we're seeing a lot of contact, and further contact on the exit. So a lot of contact here in the P3 tier tonight. But Gazza now all over the back of Quinn again. Sesti is involved in this, so it looks like he's lost a position there. Jamie is in the pit, so serving that 10 seconds. That's painful for him. And he's going to drop right down the order. But look at this. Gazza tucks in behind Matthias. Oh, and there's contact. Someone's hit Gazza. Someone's hit Gazza there.
Yeah, I think Shiesty, just tagged the back of Gazzaman, puts Gazzaman into a spin. He gets away with damage, hasn't done his tyres any good, and of course lost quite a significant amount of time. But look at Jacob now. Jacob having an attack on Shiesty. I think he's already got the manoeuvre done. Yes, he has. Jacob up to 5th.
Yeah, so even though that car proving difficult, still got some pace within it. I wonder if anyone's got rearing damage here, Cole, because that would really hurt you around this track. But the gaps are just starting to all creep out for the first time over a second, which isn't something often you see in Monza. You can see that Hockey Night is just trying to hold on to Burjax, but running none down the main straight. In terms of ERS, so we got the first 3 on hard. We got Matthias and Jacob both coming into the pit, so first and second in the championship are coming into the pits.
Yeah, of course, Matthias is going to have to change his front wing because it is 50% missing. So what tyres is he elected? He's going on the mediums. There's Jacob going through, and he's on the hard compounder tyre. I think he was already on the hard, was he? No, he must have been on the medium. So Jacob electing for the hard compounder tyre as he comes out just behind Kinney.
Yeah, so we believe that Kinney has had some contact earlier on with one Ferrari, and he's ahead now of the other one. So 4 lap old hards versus new hards. Jamie's just behind that battle, of course. So that's how much time that Matthias and Jamie both lost from the wing change and obviously the cut at turn one that Jamie had to serve. Burjax has got the gap down to below a second between himself and J.R. Mason. Just hearing in the chat that Burjax has changed from a pad to a wheel. So perhaps could this be the reason why he's showing some serious pace here in Monza?
Yeah, it could well be because, you know, with the wheel you do get more accuracy. You can be more precise with your steering inputs and your throttle and braking inputs, and it really does seem to be proving that it's helping, certainly for Burjax. But I got to be honest, Mason's race pace pretty good. You know, we know that we've criticised poor old Dad in the past for his race pace not being anywhere near as good as his qualifying, but he's dramatically improved his race pace, and the top two now comfortably pulling away.
So Gaza comes into the pits. Jamie was passed on this lap by Matthias, but now gets that DRS, so both of them are going to come out ahead of Gaza. Zesty will come out just behind him, so Kinney back up to, although Kinney made that earlier stop, he's back up in 5th position because of it. So interesting there. Max is on the back and he's now under attack from Jacob. So lots going on. Look at this: Williams, Mercedes, Haas, Ferrari, McLaren, the top five different constructors, and then you've got the second Ferrari, who is all over the back, thinks about going for it on the inside of the second Lesmo, but decides to wait for the straight.
Yeah, so we can see that Matthias, 10 laps in, has already got 6 seconds of penalties. That really is not going to help his cause at all.
Burjax goes into the lead into turn one. Nice. J.R. Mason didn't seem to fight it too hard there. And we got yellow flags. What's this? Looks something to do with the Ferrari and Kinney again, possibly.
Oh,
Jack Craig's retired. Where's that?
Jack is out. I just went on board, and I think it's at the second Lesmo, and he has got no front wheel. So he's run wide on the exit, and that's flung him into the inside wall. Very reminiscent, Nick, of what happened to
safety car
many years ago. Yes, safety car. So I expect the drivers now, certainly the top three, they will want to box and get some fresh tyres on.
Well, it's worked out beautifully for them. Cole, do we think if anyone put the hards on, they could go all the way to the end here? Just riding on board with Jason, are we going to be able to see that struck in Aston Martin? So what a day to forget for Aston Martin, both of them failing to score any points. No, it looks like the car is being cleared, but the safety car is out. Burjax in the lead, J.R. Mason in second, Hockey Knight in third, all under that safety car delta. There is a Red Bull in the pit, which is Quinn, so he'll be serving his 10-second time penalty. I presume these guys in the lead will pit. If not, Quinn will actually be lapped. So yeah, they are going to pit, so that'll be a bit of a sigh of relief for Quinn. Let's get on board. Let's look at the stops.
Quinn's okay. He's not going to get lapped, so thankfully for Quinn, he can now get himself on the back of this field, but he's going for the soft tyre. Quite a brave call. Didn't expect that. Fury's retired. Fury is retired, and Gazzaman's got a 10-second penalty, so he's retired on the straight. Fury is retired on the straight. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, there's obviously been an issue because that's very unusual. Behind a safety car, you'd think that, you know, there's plenty of opportunity to gain the positions back. So Quinn's done 3 stops, Zesty's done 2, Jamie's done 2, Gazza's done 2. So all those drivers could technically go to the end. Hards, I do think would do to the end of the race goal.
Yeah, I think they could. They're going to have to be a little bit careful with them, not push them too hard. But Jamie and Gazzaman, yeah, they could be on to an absolute winner. Oh, hang on. Gazzaman's going to have to box. I've just spotted his car. He has no front wing whatsoever. So Gazzaman's going to have to box. I'm assuming he's going to come in the pits this lap. Yes, he does. So is that one of the reasons why I mean, we saw it come up as a penalty for Gazzaman for, I think it was hitting Jamie, I believe. And there you can see he's serving his 10-second time penalty, so he can get that underway and get a fresh set of hards on and a new front wing.
Alright, let's have a look what tyres everyone's on. So Quinn's gone for the soft, so I imagine he's actually going to pit again for a set of tyres that will take him to the end of the race. The top three, interestingly, gone for a different strategy. So Bird Jackson, Hockey Knight gone to mediums, J.L. Mason gone to hards. So obviously all three of those started on the hards. So again, altering strategy. Those hard tyres though are going to be a nightmare at the safety car restart. King A choosing not to come into the pits. If he had another set of hards, he could have stopped again, potentially gone to the end of the race. This is so difficult. I have no idea who's in what sort of position now, Cole. But you can see that it's going to take a little while for all these cars to get to the safety car pack.
Yes, it's going to take a long time. You can see that. So I think the driver ahead is lapped, I think, of Kinney, was about to be, which is Jason Blue. He is a lap down. And Kinney's slowly but surely catching the pack. Jack Snicker pronounced that right. What happened to Jack? So unfortunately, Jack, coming out of one of the Lesbos, run wide on the exit, car flung into the inside wall, and unfortunately retired, having lost his wheel. So a very unfortunate race for Jack. The positive for Jack is that he has got his car wear penalties out of the way.
So I'm not quite sure. There shouldn't be any safety car delta, but Jason Blue doesn't seem to be going full speed, which is stopping the rest of the pack from catching the safety car up, which they're going to be furious about if they don't catch the safety car up. I mean, they've caught 4 seconds this lap, but you'd expect them to be doing a lot more than that. So not quite sure what's going on here. Jason Blue lifting off down the straight, so there shouldn't be a safety car delta, should there? So the safety car will probably stay out. Yeah, it's going to stay out one more lap. So from 4th down, you can see on the right hand side on the track map there, they're all stuck behind. I don't know what Jason Blue's doing here, but if he doesn't have a safety car delta, he's stopping the rest of the pack from catching up the field, Cole. This doesn't look great, does it?
No, he needs to speed up, and he needs to do it now, to be honest. I don't know what he's doing. Is he going to come in the pit lane? Yeah, he's coming in the pit lane now, so that means that these drivers can now catch up the pack. They might just about catch the pack up before the end of the lap. Oh, and as Quinn gets a 10-second time penalty for a collision with Shiesty. I mean, this is
messy.
Very, very messy. I mean, the first 3 races, the driving standards were superb, but yeah, this has got very, very messy.
Jason Blue just saying in the tier chat that he couldn't go any faster, it said. So perhaps there was a delta that he had to adhere to, which usually once kind of the safety cars picked up the leaders, it disappears. But that's why he came into the pits. Fury saying the safety car is glitched, so not entirely sure what's going on. All I know, Cole, is these hard tyres are going to be bloody cold when they do the restart. So is Kinney going to catch up? Yeah, it looks like Kinney's not going full speed either. So is the safety car going to stay out for another lap? No, it's coming in this lap.
It is coming in. I think.
But they have caught up.
Yeah, so we're back now. Very soon to full racing speed. Kinney, there you can see he's now joined the back of the pack.
Alrighty, so safety car will peel into the pits. Burjax can go anywhere before the start line. You can see he's now decided to go. Hockey Knight looks to have good run on JR Mason. Let's ride on board with him. Is he going to send it down the inside? No, looks to be some lag. I don't know what was going on there. Burjax locks up the rears, side by side the Haas and the Williams. A little bit of contact there. God, it's been a clumsy race tonight as Quinn's in the pits again. What a nightmare move down from P2 he's having.
Yes, all the drivers seem to have decided, I'm going to have my worst race around here, please. They're all really struggling. There's a lot of penalties out there. I'm just going to have a look now. 6 seconds for Matthias, 3 seconds for Shiesty, 3 seconds for Max. They will be obviously added to their time at the end of the race. Jess in the chat, Quinn got front wing damage again, so Quinn having a nightmare of a race.
Yeah, very strange what's going on here in Monza, but stranger things have happened. Hockey Night on the back of JR Mason. Burjax seems to have got the jump in the Mercedes. Kinney back on his debut in 4th position. Let's just show you who's got to stop again. So we can see that the top 6 have all got to stop again. So that will bring, drivers like Jamie, Seisty, Mats into play, Gaza possibly. Later on in the race, we know how long it takes to complete a pit stop here. Jamie is the net leader at the moment.
Yes, he is. Now, can Jamie... Because what's he done? He's done 5 laps on his hards already. He's got another 12 to do. Can he do 17 laps on a set of hard compound tyres? I think it's doable, but it's going to be very tricky towards the end of the race.
Matthias was looking to attack Kinney. Now he's under attack, so the 2 championship leaders heading into the second chicane. Going to try and go side by side. Oh, keeps it clean between the pair of them. That's good racing. You can see that Jacob's struggling with the rear of the car on exit. Having a little wobble. Maybe he's struggling, trying to get some tyre temps into those hard compound tyres. Jamie just waiting patiently by as Burjax extends his lead to 1.7 seconds. Is Jacob going to try and get the move done here into Ascari? Yes, he is. Yellow flags in Sector 2.
Yeah, let's have a look to see who that is. I don't think it's anything major. I can't see anyone off. Quinn quite a far distance down now, unfortunately. He really needs another safety car to get himself back into this. But if everyone finishes this race now, they will get a point. Top 12 will get a point as Burjax sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, and of course you got fastest lap points for inside the top 10 and outside the top 10. So the drivers who finish 11th to 12th will be able to battle it out for the fastest lap point, giving them an extra one there. You can see the drivers going through in this train, the chicane, and you can see Gaza just ever so slightly creeping in under that 3 seconds now.
Yeah, now it's getting very close. Jacob now up into 4th place, so he dispatched Matthias quite quickly, and now he's dispatched Kinney quite quickly. Can he catch to the back of Hockey Night?
Looked like Jamie went a little bit deep there, so lost the time on Matthias, and then Shiesty hits him. Shiesty now has front right end plate damage, so that's going to feel horrible through Ascari. Will it make him quicker on the straight? You never know. Look at this. Hockey Night is right on the back of JR Mason. It does go onto the runoff area, the curb there. Possibly just kept that within track limits. And yeah, as you said, Burjax extending his lead. Looks to be the class of his own here in Monza. And Max and Seisty having a little bit of a battle on the exit of Ascari and the run down to Parabolica. Gaza now right back on that train. And as we said, Jamie leading the cars who have already completed 2 pit stops. Shiesty's in for a wing change.
Yeah, I wonder whether Jamie realises that he's currently net leader. I bet he probably doesn't. But he's still got to be careful with these tyres, because they're going to be very worn come the end of the race. If he can, I don't know whether he has the stream on, but if he does, he will certainly know then. And he does seem to be taking it easy, Nick. I think he is making sure that these tyres last.
Well, he knows the pit lane is quite a loss. So he's got some time to play with. But Hockey Night is impressed me here, Cole. He seems to have really good pace, keeping with J.R. Mason. Of course, J.R. Mason leading last time out across the line in Netherlands. And is he going to go for it into Ascari? He does. Not the best place to pass, but decides that he's had enough of looking at the rear of that Williams. And, yeah, wants to get the job done.
Yeah, that was a good move. Good awareness by Mason as well to see Hockey Night coming through. Mason thinks we'll fight another day. He knows he's not on the best tyre compared to the top two, but he's going to have DRS down the main straight, Nick.
Yeah, and of course this was what I was saying about the best place to pass, because now J.R. Mason is back through, and will this allow the Ferrari of Jacob to attack Hockey Night? No, it looks like he's going to stay behind. You can see in the distance there, Jamie leading the pack now 5 seconds behind. Gaz has made his way through up into 6th position on the back of Jamie now. So good pace from Gaza in this middle stage of the race. Kinney pits, as does Matthias. Matthias going for a set of soft tyres. Surely they're not going to go to the end of the race from here.
Ooh, I can't see that happening. I think he's going to have a horrid time on those soft tyres in the last couple of laps. It's going to be very difficult for him. But back out in front, Burjak's got a very healthy lead now of 3.4 seconds over Mason. Hockey Night now. But look at Jacob. He is right on the back of Hockey Night.
Yes, he definitely is. So Jacob trying to make a recovery here in the P3 tier. Of course, round 4 here in Monza. Still plenty to play for the rest of this season, Cole. Lots of points, lots of drama. Lots of drivers to take their new gearboxes and engines. Will we see any wet weather? It's exciting times ahead. Of course, you've got the P2 tier live at 6 p.m. tonight, and then the P1 tier featuring myself and Colin at 7:30 p.m. Of course, if you're interested in signing up to One Hub Racing, you can join our Discord server. We do have about 20 drivers on the waiting list already, so we're trying to get drivers sat as quickly as possible when seats become available. And so we are being quite strict on attendance at the moment. And unfortunately, Colt, the P3 tier has been the tier that hasn't had the best attendance so far this season, as Jason gets out of the way for Quinn.
Yes, attendance hasn't been the best, but the racing has been very, very exciting.
Jacob and Hockey Night going side by side through the first Lesmo, and Hockey Night keeping the position. So it just shows you how you can go from the attacker to the defender in a matter of, corners. So Jacob now going to go around the outside of Ascari. Hockey Night has to tuck in behind after running none down this straight. And Jacob sets his sights after his championship rival of J.R. Mason. He seems to have woken up, doesn't he, this Ferrari man?
Yeah, I don't know whether he's just got used to the setup that he had and got used to the tyres, but he looks far more comfortable.
Burjax is in. Sorry, Cole.
Burjax is in and Jacob's in.
So these drivers completing their final pit stop. You will see now Jamie and Gaza come sailing past, and look, they're not even on the exit of the pit lane, and they're going to have to really try and fight this one back. So Jamie would have been cursing after lap 1 at the start of the chicane, and now look at him. He is really going to, if his teammate pits now, he could fight for Neath and Tail to try and keep the drivers behind and let Jamie try and keep that gap. But will we see team orders at Williams?
Sorry, Nick, there was contact between Jamie and Gazaman. Jamie has damaged his front wing. That's really going to hurt him. I don't know whether Gaza braked particularly early, but it did spook Jamie a bit, and he's hit the back of Gazaman and damaged his front wing. That's really not going to help him. He may have to box.
Oh, I've commentator cursed him, haven't I, there? I'm sorry, Jamie. That was bad. Like, you can see these 4 now. So Jacob, Pinge, Matthias, Hockey Night, they've just completed their second stop. Burjax is slightly up the road. When is J.R. Mason going to come into the pits? Looks like he might go slightly long and then try and run a soft compound for maybe the last 5-6 laps.
Maybe, but that doesn't seem to be the best strategy at the minute. Has he forgotten that he hasn't done his 2 stops?
Gaz is into the pits, but he'd already done his mandatory stop, so he could have gone to the end. He's choosing not to do so. So I wonder if he realised that he was the net leader there.
I don't know, but this has helped Jamie. I see Jamie has decided, sod it, I'm going to stay out with the damaged front wing and just continue going. I think with that few laps left is the right call. As Hockey Nye gets 3 seconds, that's not going to help his cause as he's fighting with Matthias. But the longer that Mason stays out, the worse his result's going to be. I'm surprised he didn't box the lap after Burjax and Jacob. But maybe you're right, Nick. Maybe he is going to go for the soft tyres.
Yeah, really interesting mixture of strategies here tonight in the P3 tier. And you have to say, some drivers making big mistakes which have potentially cost them big results here. Looks like Burjax, though, has always been the driver who's had this race under control. Lap 21 of 27. J.O. Mason, is he going to come in? Yes, he's coming into the pit. Slows the car down nicely. And let's see what tyre he puts on. Jamie has a 4.2 second lead to the car behind. A further 5.5 after that. So I'm quite confident that Jamie could have won this race without that wing damage.
I think so. But I was just looking at his lap times there, and he hasn't really lost that much pace with the wing damage, which is surprising. It really hasn't really affected him that much. But Burjax is catching him, but he's not catching him that quickly.
Jared Mason comes out the pit exits. He's got 2 cars just behind him, Hockey Knight and Matthias. So he needs to fire up those soft tyres as quickly as possible and get down the road. King A, obviously doing the undercut on both stops, has found himself in 4th position, 1.3 behind the Ferrari. So Burjax within 3 seconds now of Jamie. So Jacob, the gap still hovering just over 5. So Burjax closing in on Jamie, and Jacob not so much.
No, I think Burjax will get Jamie. He's going to be very, very close to him. I can't see Jacob gaining that much time on Jamie. I really can't.
Lap 22 of 27, so we can see the damage on that right end plate of Jamie there. Just in front of that hard compiler tower. 12 laps already on these hards, so he needs to continue to be careful not to increase the temperatures too much. And you can see, I think, Jason Blue in the pit lane again. And look at that, 1.5 seconds now, the gap between the top 2. Jacob now under 5 seconds. What else we got going on down here? Hockey Knight still battling with your dad. They've been pretty close all race. Matthias has dropped back. Surely Matthias isn't going to be able to take those soft tyres to the end. I think that was a mistake from him.
Yeah, I can't see them lasting, but he's doing all right at the minute. I got to give him credit. He's sticking. They're 5 laps old already. He's got another 4 laps to go. He's just about sticking with Hockey Nye, as Mason is just outside DRS of Kinney, and Burjax now right on the back of Jamie.
Yep, needs to get this pass done without any contact. We've seen a lot of that tonight. Down this straight, one of the biggest crashes we've ever seen. So, interesting to see whether that ends up in the stewards. So, look at that. Jamie's on none. Burjax has got his wing open and didn't seem to be closing at all. So, that wing damage perhaps helping Jamie in the straight line. But I feel like it's inevitable what's about to happen.
Does seem inevitable. Let's have a look. Burjax, I thought he was going to have a go into the parabolica there. That would have been brave. But sensibly waits. Now he's going to have DRS here. He's right on the back. Surely now this is going to be a manoeuvre for the lead. As Jason Blue is being lapped, and through goes Burjax into the lead of the race.
Yep, back where he started this race in pole position, the Mercedes man. I believe did he win pre-season race? I think you said earlier, Coles?
Yes, yeah, he did. Yeah, he won the pre-season race at Hungary.
But this will be his maiden race win if he can finish lap 24, 25, 26, 27. Can Jamie hold on to a podium here? Will his teammate catch him for 3rd? Will there be any team orders? King A is within DRS of Jared Mason. Quinn possibly might, if he stays with no penalties, might jump into the points.
We got a yellow flag. I don't know what that was. Jason. I don't know what's up with Jason. He's just wandering around, really, not going flat out. Wondering whether he's just continuing, just flat out in fourth gear, just trying to bring it home. A bit confused as to what's going on. I don't know whether he's got equipment issues. But we do have a yellow flag, which I think is for Jason. And Burjack's now clear of DRS of Jamie.
Yeah, Hockey Night all over the back of King A. So we're going to have to start thinking of some sim racing setups. Driver of the day, of course, one of our sponsors here in One Hub Racing. Big thanks to them for the prizes they're providing every week, not just at the end of the season, Cole.
Oh, that's it. I mean, driver of the day is going to be a very difficult call, to be honest. It's been such a messy race. Every driver really has made at least one mistake somewhere along the line. But I'm just looking now. Yeah, Jacob is just about in DRS of Jamie with his medium compound tyres. Can Jamie hold on with just 2 laps to go?
Yeah, going to be really interesting. I imagine he's going to lose his position, but will his teammate catch him up on those soft compounded tyres? Will there be any team orders? Will he let him through? And the problem is, Kinney's not that far behind, so perhaps Jamie just needs to try and hold on to the DRS of this Ferrari as long as possible.
There you can see Jacob hounding the back of the Williams of Jamie. Is he going to have enough straight land speed down this main straight? Let's have a look. Let's see, can he do it going into turn 1? He's right on the gearbox, Nick.
Feel like Jamie's got no defense here. When that DRS opens and you're heading down, the speed he's carrying, Jamie with the front wing needs to be careful on his braking. Pick it nice and carefully. Obviously he's driven with it for a few laps now, so we'll know where, but I feel like he potentially could be losing the podium here. But to his teammate, will he drop any further down the field? Quinn's got himself a penalty now, so might not jump into the top 10. So Gazette currently in 8th position, also flying on those soft compounded tyres. I imagine it'll be between JR Mason, who's made a mistake there, and Kinney is almost alongside as they head through the Lesmo. So has that given Jamie a lifeline?
Yeah, I think Mason's really struggling now on these soft compounded tyres. I think they're really, really worn. It was a brave call to go on the softs when he did, but I think he's just a couple of laps, stretched them a couple of laps too long. You feel as though it's only a matter of time before Kinney gets Mason here. Yeah,
on those medium compounded tyres, 8 laps old, should still be decent. And you can see Jamie on 16 lap old hard. So Gaza was on the same strategy, remember, had completed 2 stops. I want to hear from him after the race as to why he decided to come in for a set of softs. I think we were pretty confident in the box here, Cole, that the hards would go to the end, but it looks like J.R. Mason's on none, and Kinney is going to get the position. Lap 27 of 27. Can Jamie hold on to this podium?
Oh, this is going to be so close. This is going to be right down. Kinney's got one opportunity, really, and that's down the back straight towards Ascari, but he needs to get within DRS. He needs to get within DRS straight away. Can he do it?
Going to be interesting. Jamie now 3 seconds behind Jacob. Kinney is absolutely pushing everything he has on these medium compound tyres to try and get this podium. You'd have to say he's got 2 straights to do it. Jamie's really struggling on those hard compounded tyres. How much tyres has Jamie saved up? He's currently running none, but he's still quick in a straight line. I don't think Kinney can go for it here. It's going to be on the exit Ascari into Parabolica.
Oh, this is going to be tight. This is going to be tight. Now it's all about how much ERS has he saved. Jamie doesn't defend. I'm quite surprised he doesn't defend. And Kinney is through on just before the last turn. Jamie doesn't quite make it. But what a great performance from Jamie to get those hards to the end.
Yeah, definitely. Apologies we missed Burjack's crossing the line for his maiden win in One Hub Racing. Big congratulations to him. He was a man on a different planet here in Monza, the Temple of Speed. Jacob recovered to second after a messy start. Appears he's got wing damage there as well. King A on his debut finishes in third, but there was a big incident, I think, involving him in the early part of the race. Jamie stays on his 18-lap-old hards to finish fourth, just ahead of his teammate JR Mason, who was leading this race early on, to finish in fifth. Hockey Knight had a good showing here tonight to finish in sixth. Gaza in seventh. Matthias in eighth. Max in ninth. Sesti rounds out the top 10. Quinn grabs himself, when he does cross the line, a couple points in 11th, with probably the fastest lap outside the top 10. And then Jason will close the field in 12th. Still scoring a point, of course.
Yeah, so that, this is where it pays just to keep going. Jason gets that P12, I think it was. And I mean, this is going to be tight now, because this is a provisional result, don't forget, everyone, and I think there's going to be quite a lot of stewards' reports to go through, but this is your results then. So Burjack takes his maiden Grand Prix victory for One Hub, Jacob in second, Kinney in third, Jamie fourth, Mason fifth, Hockey Nye, then Gazaman, Matthias, Max in ninth, Shiesty in 10th, Quinn in 11th, Jason Blue in 12th, Fury in 13th, Jack in 14th, and Guest in 15th. So my question for you, Nick, who is your driver of the day?
Well, I think it's going to be between two for me, and I'm hoping you're going to pick the other one. I'm going to go for the driver who is my fellow Canadian. So I'm going to go to Hockey Night. Started ninth, finished in sixth, was battling the leaders, battling for the lead, battling for the podium positions, eventually finished in sixth position, but never mind, a good showing for him. So my Sim Racing Setup Driver of the Day nomination is Hockey Night, and my question to you is, encouraging signs here tonight, fighting for those podium positions, where do you think you can build on this result?
And that's a very good driver of the day. And for me, it's very, very clear who the driver of the day is. And for me, it's going to go to Jamie for getting hard tyres to last 17 laps around a track that we know is so difficult to get them to last that long. I thought he drove exceptionally well. I mean, his tyre wear must have been in the high 60s, pushing 70s, and to not spin in that condition, I think is very, very good. So, Jamie, my question for you is, did you always plan the second you went on those hards to make them last towards the end? And even though you missed out on a podium, how pleased are you to get your best result of the season?
Well, everybody, that was round 4 in Monza for the P3 tier. Thank you all for watching. We best thank our sponsors, Next Level Racing, of course, who provide prizes to our drivers across all of our tiers every season. Sim Racing Setups, you can get discount by using our code, and you can also win vouchers weekly by winning the Sim Racing Setups Driver of the Day, and the driver who finishes the season with the most drivers of the day will win a big voucher to top it off. Pure Sim Gear, of course, get your Sim Racing gloves and Sim Racing socks. We have a code for that too. Vespertine, who do our merchandise, and we, of course, provide those through prizes for our podium finishes at the end of the season. SimGrid, we run all of our championships through Colin, so big thanks to them for all their help and support. What a race we had here tonight in Monza. A little bit messy, a little bit of chaos, sometimes what's just needed for our entertainment. And shortly in the P2 tier at 6 p.m. and the P1 tier at 7:30, we will continue. We're hearing it's a full grid in the P2 tier starting in 10 minutes time. So best of luck to the commentators and all the drivers. I'll be tuning in, as we hope you will. Colin, final thoughts?
I mean, what a chaotic race that was. I wonder whether this is going to translate into P2 and P1. Don't forget, like Nick said, tune in 10 minutes for P2, and then at 7:30 for the P1 tier. And we will all see you next week around one of my favourite tracks, Belgium.
Yeah, big thanks everyone for your support. Hope you enjoyed tonight's stream. Make sure you give us a subscribe, and of course follow us on all our channels. Join our Discord where you can join our friendly community, talk about Formula 1. It's what we all love. We love racing. And Colin and I will be back next week for round 5. Thanks, guys, and good night.